Good morning! It's a beautiful day here at Red Hen Racing. I mean, isn't every day beautiful when you have a fucking Supra? Yesterday we got our roll bar all rigged up and mounted. Still a few tweaks I want to put on that at some point, but for the most part, it's in and solid. Big focus today is getting these Corbeaus mounted up. It's been a long time coming and I'm tired of putting it off and I really want them in there. So let's get into it. I'm Gavin, and you're watching Red Hen Racing.
Speed it up, 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 speed it up. Go faster, ayy. Go faster, ayy. Go faster, ayy. Go faster, ayy.
Got the seats out. I went ahead and plopped them in here just for a quick test fit, and they're gonna have to sit on the floor. There's no room for any sliders or rails or anything. Could probably drive it right here. Even with these seats bolted straight to the floor, they sit like dead even with the stock seats. I'd like them to be a little bit lower, but not really feasible with these seats. And I like these seats enough that I don't want to switch to a different seat that maybe could get a hair lower. So whatever, we're gonna mount them up that way. But first I want to sort the wiring. These Corbeaus, if you didn't catch the episode where we attempted to install these the first time, these Corbeaus are heated. I've got all of the wiring for them over here splayed out. It's actually a super straightforward setup. They just have one harness that needs to be powered. And they came with these little add-a-fuse taps. I'm not sure if I want to run those yet. I've never really trusted those. I really prefer to have them on their own relays. Not sure exactly the specifics of how I'm going to wire them up yet. Mess with that for a little while and see what we come up with. So these switches, pretty typical of most heated seat kits and a lot of rocker switches in general. They need a hole made that's the right size for the body. They also have this little indexing like key on them so that they can't spin in their hole. So to cut those notches, once I've got the hole about the right size, I like to use a Sawzall blade by hand just to make sure that it's flat and level. And I just kind of notch it out until it's about the right depth. And then I'll take this little file, we work that in there, and then we start working it up and down because the Sawzall blade isn't thick enough for that key. So I stick this in the slot and start working it up and down a little bit until that key fits. And that's how I do these. If you've got something that works better for these type of switches, let me know, because it's kind of tedious by hand, but it gets it perfect every time.
4 to 6 days later.
Good morning. I think this is the most cumulative days that I've filmed for one fucking video. Trying to get anything done on my days that I work is just a nightmare. But I'm trying really hard to chug through and get this thing done. I can't wait until my next off cycle. I want to drive it to work like now. So yesterday we got the switches mounted up good. They're mounted right here next to all of our USB ports that charge all the camera gear on rally days. I also got most of the wiring routed in the car that goes to the seats. We've got these harnesses that need to go to each seat in place. And I've got it routed under the carpet where it needs to be. I've got it bundled up here with my other mess of electronics. I've already got the relay for them grounded and triggered. I'm gonna show you the relays I'm using. I really like these. These are from True Mods on Amazon. You get a 5-pack of them for like $15, and they have a built-in fuse. And if you need a 5-pin relay, these from iRhapsody are really good because they're super waterproof. I really like that for things like our LED bar on the front of the Miata, anything that's going to be exposed to elements. Those being waterproof is super cool. Haven't found a way to combine having the fuse that's on the ones with the waterproofness of the other, but those are the two main relays that I use. Also, in my wiring endeavors, we got a new toy. This is my new soldering iron. It's nice being cordless, and it has adjustable heat settings, so it actually gets hot enough. That last soldering iron I've been using, this is a Weller. They're a pretty solid name in soldering irons, but I don't know if this one's defective or something. It's like pulling teeth to get this to melt anything. You had to like press into it for it to transfer enough heat. Well, this Ryobi one is fucking badass. It's made it so much easier, and it's got its own little holder, and they have a bunch of other interchangeable tips for it. So if you're actually good at soldering and know what the different tips do, it does that. I don't know about all that. I just know it if it melts solder good. So anyways, let's dive in here and let's get this wiring finished. I want to drive this thing today. I went ahead and rigged up the new camera mount that's going to live on the roll cage. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Alright, got all the center console stuff back together and plopped the seats back in here, but I can't fully secure the center console yet because I don't know which side is which. The wiring harness going from both seats runs together under the console and then splits back up, and I didn't mark which one was the left and right side, so it's a 50-50 shot. We're gonna have to just turn this side on and see if this side actually gets hot. It's got power. Set up. No. Now we just wait to see if this side actually gets hot. Didn't take very long. It's getting warm. It's getting toasty. We got a hot butt. Since I won that 50-50 shot, and it is wired up correctly, we can put the rest of the center console back together. Then we move on to figuring out how to actually mount these seats, because they're just sitting in here. They're not mounted at all. But that's all that's left. We just gotta bolt them up. So I've got us a template made up out of a DiMaggio's pizza box. You'll notice that it's hot and delicious. Not necessarily ready, but it's gonna be good whenever you do get it. Bleep, bleep, bleep. So this box is serving as a good pattern for our bolt holes. Just gotta transfer it to the floor and drill some holes. And they're all gonna line up the first try. Got all 4 holes drilled. Now we're gonna see if we can bolt this thing up, if it just happens to line up properly. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and mount the harnesses in, because once I put this seat in, I don't want to take it out again, because I imagine these holes are gonna try to cross thread or something, and I don't want any more headaches. So when these get bolted in, hopefully it's permanently. So let's get the bottom 3 points of harness mounted first. Seats are in. I know I'm gonna make that look like 8 to 12 seconds in the time lapse, but you can notice by me wearing 6 different shirts throughout that process that it took me like a fucking week of working on it 20 minutes at a time to get that done. Even with my pizza box template, it did not go smoothly. But the seats are completely bolted in, the harnesses are bolted up, or strapped up, whatever, fuck you. We've got the collars in place to keep the harnesses from sliding around. I've got them adjusted how I want. Seats and harnesses are done, and it looks good. So now there's just a couple of other small touches that we've got to do to the interior before I consider the makeover complete. Now, I've always kept this in the car. No particular reason. It's not because it's the most likely thing to catch on fire in the whole county. What's all that smoke? Just, you know, just in case someone else catches on fire, we like to have an extinguisher on hand. This is actually a marine type, and I don't exactly know what that means, honestly. We got classification 5 Bravo Charlie. And I don't actually know exactly what that means, but I assume that this will put out an engine fire. Let's see what the difference is. We've got this one over here that lives here. This one is a 1 Alpha 10 Bravo Charlie marine type. I don't know the fucking difference, honestly. I used to teach advanced damage control, and I cannot tell you the difference in these 2 fire extinguishers. Anyways, this has always lived in the car. And now that we have a roll bar, I've got this mount from Rough Country that'll allow us to mount it to the roll bar. And it'll be a nice quick release mount. There's a bunch of cheap ones of these on Amazon. I gave a few more dollars for the rough country one in the hopes that it doesn't have any loose tolerances that'll rattle or jangle or anything like that. Little rattles from things get on my nerves, and this car is actually coming along really nice, so we're not going to introduce any rattles like that. We're going to use some decent parts that might be a little bit quieter. So let's see if we can get this thing mounted up. All right, extinguisher mounted up easy enough. That rough country mount has like 0 play in it. I think it's not gonna rattle at all. I'm super happy about that. One last little touch that I wanna do today. I've always been a big fan of the HKS oil slick livery. I found some floor mats that are in that pattern. Let's throw them in and see what they look like. I'm very happy with those. I think that's just the right splash of color that the interior needed on this thing. I'm very happy with how the interior is coming along in general. It's shaping up. You know, this is my dream car and we're slowly getting it to where I want it to be. Feels good. I'm pretty stoked about it. Now that it's roadworthy and the interior's together, it's daily drivable as it is. Aside from a few oil leaks, we don't talk about those. All that's left is to get it out, get it to some events. It's been, I think, 9 months since this thing did anything, and she's ready. Might be autocross, might be the next big rally that we've got going on. We'll see what it gets into. Either way, I'm gonna start driving it to work now, and man, it feels good. I love this thing. Big thanks to the pit crew to help support the channel. Feel free to join. There's lots of cool perks for it, but even if you don't, a subscribe is cool. Feel free to subscribe, and we love you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
We out here doing hella gang shit.